Now, I'd be interested to know whether my colleagues on the panel think these images are satisfactory or not.
They don't look great.
They don't, do they? So there's a couple of things. So there's a bit of blurring here from some fluid. This is out of focus. This image, who knows what's going on there? It looks sort of slightly funny there. There's a bit of blood here. It's quite dark there. So these images, I think, are unsatisfactory. Well, if we wind the clock forward just 7 months, this same patient had this ulcer, and you can see its relationship to the lower esophageal sphincter here. And this, of course, was a cancer. Now, this patient had a complete gastrectomy, and the cancer was widely infiltrative into the esophagus and into the local lymph nodes as well. So the question is, did this patient have a lesion 7 months previously, and had it been diagnosed then, could this cancer have been prevented? Is this an entirely new lesion? And my take-home point here was the images that were taken in the previous endoscopy are completely inadequate to tell you whether there was something there or not.
So what are we going to talk about in the next hour? We're going to talk about why high-quality images improve inspection and documentation, apply the freeze focus capture workflow for reliable image capture, identify and capture a minimum landmark image set with defined acceptance criteria supported by ESGE, and talk about structured photography under difficult anatomy using a practical rescue mechanism.
But of course, I'm very happy to demonstrate to you how to image the adenoma, and we can have a discussion on what you would like to know as like a physician where we would refer to. And I think you already, so maybe good to say we already gave the patient a bit of Buscopan because there was a lot of peristalsis, and of course we want to do optimal imaging, and as you can see, that helped very well. So we have a very nice and still duodenum at the moment. We flushed down some simethicone, and actually I was just hanging in here a bit because we see the lesion in the back, but I was trying to identify the papilla, which was a bit up there, and then we saw something interesting a little bit more back.
So the papilla's just gone past at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then we've got this on the floor.
This on the floor. Here's some ectopic
Pancreatic gland,
pancreas. Yeah. And papilla was up here. So we identified that, and I think that's something at least you want to know and want to, here it is, before you at least be sure that the adenoma is not, at the side of the papilla. And then here you see the adenoma.
So this is beautiful. So just tell me how you get this image, Ruth.
Yeah, so I'm trying just to make like small movements with my endoscope and with my hands, because it's, as you said, a delicate position, so it's very easy to fall back. So I'm trying not to use too much air at this moment because I'm happy with the insufflation. And I'm just making small movements to get a little bit closer and just not use my wheels too much, but just use my wrist to make small movements and trying to at least find the demarcation line, then go into the lesion. Try not to scrape too much with the cap over the mucosa because that can induce bleeding, and especially when you're using virtual chromo, that can really mess up your image. And so here there's these areas where you want to get up close. And I was considering doing it underwater.
Perfect.
You very nicely see that this really very much helps.
So I'm just going to pick out a couple of key sentences you said. So the first thing is, Ruth is doing this really slowly, David, and she's gentle. She's gentle, you know, and you don't really want she's got the cap on, and the cap definitely helps. So people will be watching, tuning in and listening and saying, God, they use a cap for everything. But in fairness, in therapy, the cap is probably one of our go-to things that we go to first because it gives us stability, access. It also helps us improve the focal length. So when you're trying to take good imaging or your interrogation of an area where you've got some concern, it allows you to keep a fairly static focal length and allows you to take, believe it or not, better images. So
could you maybe show us, pause for the audience, the 4 images that you would want to receive? John, I know you're doing duodenal polypectomy. Rose, I know you're doing serious resection, even if it's not on the duodenum, of this lesion.
So this one?
To assess resectability, yeah.
So this one is an overview, and then I would want to look at the left side of that lesion that I can't see on this front-on image, right? So I'd leave a second one where I don't need the whole lesion in place, but I would want to look at the left edge to see how much extension there is going down the duodenum.
So this part
here, yeah.
To know, right?
So in 2 photographs, I've got an overview of the whole lesion, David.
So that's the first. So I think the key message there is, and let's get Leon to comment, because I know you're doing this a lot. An overview is very useful, right? You agree, Leon?
Yeah.
I totally agree that an overview is essential, also for us to interpret it, whether we can remove it. But what I often see, and what I think is what should be stressed as well, that what Rose is doing, she is going gently over the lesion. It doesn't make sense to go 2 or 3 centimeters away from the lesion, put on the MBI button and make a picture.
I really loved Enrico's presentation, and thank you for that. And Poti's demonstration with regards to the esophageal lesion in his presentation was really well done. And he showed something there that I really liked. He used the analogy of a forest. I liked it so much that I decided to steal it during the break and add this to my actual presentation. So we spent the whole morning speaking about optics and about getting close up and about looking at mucosal patterns and tight crypts and crowded crypts. And the point that I want to make is that when you're talking about a broader everyday endoscopy audience, we sometimes get caught up in optics and pit patterns, and we miss the bigger picture. So if you spend too much of time looking at the leaves and analyzing the veins on the leaves, you can miss stepping a little bit back. And you actually can miss stepping even more back. So if you're busy looking at the leaves, you might actually miss the smoke, which tells you the forest is on fire. So step back, do overview pictures, look for the smoke. If you can't find the smoke, then there is actually nowhere to guide your closer images. So you need to be able to find the smoke before you can look at the leaf and find the source of the fire. Just where does AI tie into this? And David mentioned the GIEQs this morning, and combining the GIEQs with AI gives you an automated competency assessment tool. So that's the cat, and the cat that can assess itself. So this is probably where we're going to go. AI is a gatekeeper, so AI to look for competency. AI is probably going to be able to tell us how much of the mucosa we visualize, and that's probably going to be a great future KPI. It will, by doing that, it will tell us endoscopy completeness. And AI is also probably going to integrate and force us to take quality and good number of images. But AI also serves as an aid. We know this with lesion recognition, but it's probably going to be able to aid us in capturing good quality images and possibly aid us with post-processor enhancement to ensure we get good pictures.
Who is assessing your quality of upper GI endoscopy at your units? Who knows the targets? You probably know the targets because you can read the guidelines and the position statements, but who really knows if your unit is reaching the targets?
No.
Nobody. Okay, so let me start. The update was just published 2 weeks ago, so it's a brand new, and we have several measures. According to Quality Improvement Committee, we have some little evidence for some of them, for the most probably, or for sure not, but I want to show you what is really new. Really new is appropriate indication. We've heard about it today a little bit, fasting instructions received. What is also new is the time slot of 20 minutes allocated for upper GI endoscopy, for standard upper GI endoscopy. And for me, the most important innovation for the future is what we are talking about for the last 7 hours. If the visibility score was recorded. If we clean the mucus, if we take the picture, then we can calculate the visibility score, and then we can record it, and then we can get an answer if our investigation was of high quality. Then